Hey everyone, it's Dr. Ramani. Welcome back to this YouTube channel on narcissism, narcissistic relationships, healing from narcissistic relationships, and how to make sense of it all. So let's talk a little bit about masks today, right? We always talk about how the narcissist can be so covert and they can wear a mask. Well, guess what? The narcissistic person is not the only one wearing a mask. You want to know who else is wearing a mask in this relationship? Turns out you need one too. The aspect of narcissism that makes it so problematic and so confusing is what we know. It's their capacity for the narcissist to wear multiple masks. They're charming with new people or when they need something, charming and charismatic with high status folks, anyone that they're trying to win over or love bomb or get something from. But then behind closed doors, they will often treat those closest to them, people that they're used to or have less power, they treat them horribly. The people who only see the charming, charismatic mask think that you're the one with the problem. And their ability to mask on and mask off is how so many people often feel confused in these relationships and often find it hard to leave them because the narcissistic person in their life is consistently, in most cases, able to put on that good mask often enough to keep you confused and often keep you stuck in the relationship. The masking is why narcissistic people are often labeled as covert, meaning that they're able to hide the bad parts of the narcissism, and many people see a different side of them. And lots of people get critiqued if they were to say, for example, my mom's narcissistic or my husband's narcissistic, and other people will say, well, you shouldn't use that, you shouldn't diagnose them, maybe it's you. So here's the other side. To heal or even be in one of these relationships, the ultimate goal, obviously, is to heal, obviously, to take back your true self, the part of you that you had to silence or that was shamed or blamed or devalued or negated while you were or are in the narcissistic relationship. None of us can show up as who we really are in these relationships. And when you bring your true self into one of these relationships, you do so at your own peril. You run the risk of being shut down, diminished, and in the long run, it's not good for you psychologically, unless you are built to live in a constant state of rebellion. For most of us, the chronic negation, especially if it has been happening for a lifetime since we were children, it takes a cumulative toll, and it can magnify that sense of not enoughness that long-term survivors of narcissistic relationships endure. So to manage narcissistic relationships, you need a mask too. And there are multiple reasons for this. First, you need to keep exerting that muscle of your true self, that part of you that owns reality, that knows who you are, what you stand for, your needs, your preferences, your aspirations, and that you can't really show up in a narcissistic relationship. But you need that true self to exist. And you need to have the places and activities in your life when your true self can exist. That may be in spaces like healthy friendships, healthy workplaces, other healthy relationships, or creative pursuits, or any number of professional activities that are meaningful to you. You need those spaces. That's not a mask, that's you. And this is not an easy place for survivors to get to. In the most severe cases, when your true self is out there, you may even feel a sense of guilt or betrayal. People who have endured parental narcissistic abuse, even years out, will feel or believe that individuation is a betrayal of the narcissistic parent. That's the indoctrination. That's how deep it goes. Some people may also have a fear of embarrassment. Remaining that you that's only partially you, cutting out that true you, can be a way of strangely keeping that narcissistic parent close. As long as you are keeping part of you hidden, you're still in that relationship with your parent. The mask needs to go on when you are with the narcissistic person. It's the disengaged, consciously aware that you are not putting your true self out there to be negated, radically accepting the circumstance and knowing that they are not capable of changing or seeing you clearly mask. That mask keeps you safe. Many people will say, but if I wear this disengaged mask where I'm not really coming as my true me, doesn't that make me inauthentic when I'm with a narcissistic person? You never could be fully authentic with a narcissistic person. That's the double bind of these relationships. In fact, it may be more authentic to be clear and fully recognize to yourself that you can't be you with them. It's not good for you. And that the only way to keep your life running while you have to keep this narcissistic person in your life is to keep that disengaged mask on. And you know what? They don't really care. You are an object to them, a source of supply, a way that they regulate, a way of them looking good to the world. Something that may legitimize their life. For example, y'all look good on a Christmas card. You might be a person who does stuff for them, or a way for them to not feel alone in the world. You are only kept around as long as you can serve a function for them. And if you can be clear on that with yourself, it can save you. Listen, some narcissistic relationships are so abusive, so cruel, and so impossible that there's no way to stay in them safely. The wounds are too deep, the situation too impossible, the betrayals too awful, that there is no point. There are some narcissistic relationships that we know aren't good for us, but may represent a necessary problem in our lives. For example, someone you might have to co-parent minor children with, or an adult child or their spouse that may be the parent to cherished grandchildren, or a group of colleagues that are part of a larger institution that you actually like working in, or another family member that the family won't cut out, but there are other family members you want to see. We simply cannot eliminate all of the narcissistic people from our lives. But have that mask you need to put on as a visual. They don't get to see all of you. And when those interactions are done, give yourself a minute, because it's actually exhausting to not be yourself. Take that mask off and let your true self shine. Because sadly, narcissistic people with their many masks, they create a world where masks have become necessary. But if a mask, when interacting with them, means that there are other places in your life where your true self gets to shine, then it's well worth it. But if you can think of that there's some people in my life I can't cut out, and you know that's very central to my philosophy of healing, you can't get out of them at all, and I truly believe you can heal even if you're still in them. But having that visual that I'm going to have to put this mask on, that actually being true to myself means that I protect my true self. I disengage, I keep that distance, I radically accept, I know what they're about, but take that minute when you leave that interaction, do it visually. Engage in this sort of action of it, of peeling that mask off and recognizing that the rest of us want to see your true self. Thanks again.